All right, so good evening and welcome to our discussion this evening on strategic case study as we try to look at the case study examination and look at the various things that we need to focus on to increase our chances of ultimately passing the examination. Now, case study is an interesting paper in the final level as per the standards. It's supposed to be the last paper that you are writing. The reason is because of the fact that case study or strategic case study tries to bring all of your understanding from management information system in level 1, management accounting in level 2, financial management in level 3, and some issues in respect of financial reporting and corporate reporting. All of that needs together plus some additional information in the strategic case study examination, and the goal of the examiner and the syllabus is to put you in a position as a consultant in a simulation as a business strategist or a consultant to help the company to solve some problems that a company is having. Now, it is important we understand that the way the case study examination is structured, it is in a manner that we have to structure ourselves, structure our answering, and most importantly, structure our approach to optimize ourselves in passing the examination. And what we want to look at today is to, as we've already done, have a had a thorough discussion on the pre-scene and the various things that we need to understand. We want to just take that a step further and then share some light on some few things that we need to understand as we head on into the exam hall tomorrow. Now, let me start from the end and then we can build up the discussion and then go ahead in that particular case. Let me say this. I've already said this during our discussion, but again, let me highlight on this to you as we get excited into the discussion this evening. The first thing I want you to understand is this, is that nobody cares about your analysis of the precinct. So nobody cares about whatever the heck analysis that you think you have done on the precinct. Nobody cares about that. The goal of the strategic case study examination is based on what is in the syllabus. So it is about making sure that we have to understand what is in the syllabus, not about your analysis. So it's good. You have done some analysis. You may have read some analysis from somewhere. It is good. But if you think you're going to pass the examination because of any so-called analysis, may I suggest to you, you're going to be shocked in the exam hall tomorrow 9 a.m. when you get there. So again, nobody cares about your analysis of the precinct. It is about what is in the syllabus, what you are expected to know when it comes to the strategic case study syllabus. And so if nobody cares about your analysis and we are supposed to know what is in the syllabus, then the question we then have to ask ourselves is, what are the questions, what are the areas that the examiner can get goosebumps on and ask us questions about in the exam hall? Because that is what we have to be interested in. What are the areas the examiner is going to be asking questions about? And then how do we write out our answers when the examiner asks us the questions? That is what we're going to be interested in. The first part of our syllabus talks about strategic analysis. Permit me to just quickly pull this up. I thought I had brought it up in my slide already, but it is not here. So just permit me. Let me just draw this up quickly as we crystallize some of these discussions. Sorry if you feel dizzy with the speed of the scroll. Just going to be done in a moment. There we go. So 5 areas the examiner is going to be bringing questions from. 5 areas. Okay? These are the areas the examiner is going to be bringing questions from. Based on the examination, based on the syllabus, the examiner is going to be trying to spread the questions across these 5 areas. 20 marks of the questions, or 20% of the questions that we're going to have will be from strategic analysis. We're going to be getting into what the heck is there. Strategic analysis has to do with, analyzing the environment within which we are operating as an entity. And so under the strategic analysis, there are a lot of concepts, principles that we need to understand in order to optimize our chances of passing the examination. And so under the strategic analysis, there are some key concepts there that we need to understand. It is important we understand the issues about the mission of a company, the vision of a company, the various levels of strategy. And these are all introductory areas to strategic case study. Why should a company have a mission? What are the elements of a mission statement of a company? All right. What is the vision of a company? What are the levels of strategy? So we have the corporate level strategy, business level strategies, and operational level strategies. What are the lenses of strategy? Because when an entity is developing strategy, there are lenses of strategies that we need to understand. 3 lenses of strategy. Strategy as design, okay? Then we're going to be having strategy as innovation as well in that particular case. And so we must know the lenses of strategy. All these are related to that A aspect of the discussion. Beyond this, we come to the various understanding on the strategic analysis area. First, we look at the macro environment, the country within which the entity is operating. And so when it comes to the macro environment, we are going to be interested in using the PESTEL or the PEST analysis, where we are looking at the political factors, the economic factors, the social factors, the technological factors, and then the legal factors. Now, when is this going to be applicable as well? For instance, our company may be seeking to expand and grow, AML. They may be seeking to expand and grow. And if they are seeking to expand and grow and enter into new markets and new societies and others, new markets and new countries and others, it is important they have an understanding of those political factors. And so the strategic analysis is then going to be connecting to the strategic choice, which is the second area, and I'm going to tie all of them together as we proceed in the discussion. And so the macro environmental analysis, very important. We need to understand that. But beyond the macro environment, the country we are talking about, we need to talk about the industry. So what is the nature of the competitiveness in the industry that we are in? Because before we can make any decision, undertake any strategic choice as a company, we must understand the nature of the competitiveness in the industry that we are in, and most importantly, know the strategies that we can undertake, we can implement in order to gain sustainable competitive advantage. And so if we are supposed to analyze the nature of competitiveness of the industry, then we are going to be relying on Michael Porter's 5 forces, where we talk about the threat from new entrants, how easily or difficult it is for new firms to enter the market. We're going to talk about bargaining power of customers, the ability of customers to be able to influence the prices of the product or the prices they pay for the product or the quantity they demand. Okay, we're going to be talking about the bargaining power of suppliers. What is the influence of suppliers on our operations? Is it strong? Is it moderate? Then availability of substitute products, right? Is there any industry that serves the same purpose that we are serving at the end of the day? And we discussed all of these things. And then we talk about the competitive rivalry. What is the nature of competitiveness among the existing players in the market? And so either we are going to be analyzing the macro environment, or we have to analyze the nature of competitiveness within the industry that the entity is operating in, and that is where we're going to be relying on the Porter's 5 forces. Beyond this, we can also analyze the international environment, all right? In analyzing the competitive nature, why is an industry more profitable, globally recognized, like our company, which is a mining company? If we take the mining industry in Ghana, the mining companies in Ghana, and compare that to the mining companies in, say, South Africa or in other part of the world, why are they better than the mining companies in Ghana? In such questions, in such illustrations, then we are going to be looking at the competitive advantage that nations enjoy, and that is where we're going to be talking about, again, Michael Porter diamond. Okay, Porter's diamond model or framework, where according to Michael Porter, there are 4 factors that gives a country that national competitive advantage. The favorable factors of production, pretty important. Availability of supporting and related industries. The nature of domestic demand, right? And then the issue in respect of competitive rivalry strategy and structure. And so that is analyzing the international environment. And that is very important in that particular case, another framework that we need to be mindful of. Beyond that, we will come then to the internal environment. In the internal environment, we want to, I can't even spell environment. What kind of school does this guy attend? Internal environment. In the internal environment, we want to look at the value chain. Okay, so from the ore production, right? From the equipment that we use to, this is a mining company. So from the equipment that we use, the ore or production that we have, and converting that to the finished product, okay, the gold bullions, and then the carbon hydroxide that are used for the manufacturing of the car batteries by the battery manufacturing companies. What's the value chain? So under strategic analysis also, when we come to the internal environment, we could be thinking about Michael Porter's value chain analysis that we need to be aware of, we need to know about. Then we can bring all of these together into one model, which is referred to as the SWOT analysis. Now, it depends on how excited the examiner is. He could ask you directly to prepare a SWOT analysis for the entity. Alternatively, he will ask you to analyze the strategic capacity of the entity, or if you want, the strategic position of the entity. Because remember, AML has a certain position. They are seeking to expand. There are a couple of risks that the entity is exposed to. And so before they can make any decision, either expand into other markets or, start take the lithium production to another level, especially the Volta region area that they are yet to start intensively in the future. What is happening? We need to understand our capacity to be able to then take advantage. Now, when we are answering questions on strategic capacity, that means you are going to be leveraging on SWOT analysis. But what does that mean? It means you are bringing together concepts from the pistol framework. Okay, you are bringing together concepts from the pistol framework and then the Porter's diamond. Sorry, Porter's 5 forces. All right, the Porter's 5 forces. And so in the internal environment, value chain analysis, SWOT analysis, or analyzing the strategic capacity and position of the entity. That is a crucial aspect that we need to understand when it comes to dealing with these things. And so that first part of our discussion, strategic analysis, there is a lot of material there that we need to understand. If you just care to go down to the breakdown of the syllabus, you could see the levels of strategy that I spoke about earlier. Issues about stakeholder mapping. We spoke about this when we're having the pre-scene analysis discussion, where we looked at the Mendeley matrix, all right, to identify the key stakeholders of the entity and what are their interests, what are their power, and can they influence the decisions or the strategies of the entity. That's part of strategic analysis. So you could have a question on strategic mapping, 10 marks in the exam, and the examiner is just hitting you up to know the stakeholders of the company, their power and their interest. And so stakeholder mapping is a crucial thing that we need to understand because it is part of that area. It's part of that area. Then suddenly the concept of ethics. Yes, ethics is here. And it is important we understand when it comes to dealing with ethics in strategic case study. Yeah, for the most part, you know ethics in your corporate reporting, in your advanced audit and assurance, and then your advanced taxation class. But the ethics in strategic case study is ethics pro max, if I can say that like that, because we are looking at the ethics not from an individual level, but we are looking at ethics from a corporate level. That's what we are looking at here. So we are looking at it not only on the individual level as professional accountants, as management, as professionals. Yes, we must carry out our work, do the things we are doing in an ethical manner. Integrity, objectivity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior, and certainly confidentiality. Beyond that, the way we run the company should also be ethical. All right? Beyond that, the way we run the company should also be ethical. So as part of that 20 marks area, per your syllable structure, you have to understand those ethical issues that relates to how businesses or organizations are run. And that is important. Now, in a simple language, ethics simply has to do with the way that a company is run, generally in a moral manner, okay, in an acceptable manner. So it's not just about, what did the law say we should do? Beyond the law, what should be humanely done? So as I use this example always, government Minerals Commission may have given us a license to go and mine in a forest reserve or mine near a water body. Yeah, you have the license. You are supposed to mine there. But ethics should tell you that I have to use or mine responsibly. I must mine in such a manner that I do not destroy the society or the environment that I am in. Number one, I must mine in such a manner that I do not destroy the water body. That is where ethics comes in. And there are various concepts here. Now, you may go tomorrow and there is nothing on ethics. But again, the examiner is under obligation to explain to you what the heck he wants to bring and what he doesn't want to bring. Your assignment is to know what is in the syllabus. That's what we're talking about here. And so the various issues about ethics, approaches about ethics that we must understand in that case, the key issue here that probably you would have to really you have to be aware of, which is an area that the examiner, I think, in the last syllabus has brought about twice, is the issue in respect of moral philosophy in that particular case. The moral philosophy concept. It is explaining the nature of ethics and morality and with providing moral justification for actions taken by individuals. So people can do things and they will consider it ethical. Others can do things and they will consider it not ethical. And that is what we refer to as the moral philosophy. And there are two key theories that you must be aware of. The first one is the consequential theories of ethics. And the second one is the non-consequential theories of ethics. Let me run you through that quickly in the book, right? So ethics based on consequences. Now, this simply means that all things, okay, of all the things that a person might do at any given moment, the moral right action is the one with the best overall outcome. That's all. So if I do something and it affects a lot of people on the overall, then I did the right thing. Yeah, some group of people could take beef for it, but I have still done the right thing. So that is ethics based on consequences. Under this, There are a couple of other, theories that we must understand, like the utilitarianism, which is the view that the morally correct decision in any situation is one that produces the best possible outcome for people as a whole. That is for mankind. That is the utilitarianism. So once we do something and it affects the large number of people, a maximum number of people, yeah, it's good. Yeah, some people could be hurt, but it's okay. It's for the good of the society. Then ethical egoism. It is a theory that, take the view that people should always do what is right in their own eyes and not what is in the best interest of others. This is ethical egoism. So if I'm going to do something that will hurt me, consequences, then I'm not going to do it. So if this concept is what management is using to run the company, then they are going to be very short-term people, because they'll be interested in running the company to make profit so that they can get their annual bonuses. They may not undertake long-term projects. Why? Because they are not looking at the whole group of stakeholders that the entity is having, the shareholders, the community, the employees of the company. They are not looking at that utilitarianism. They are looking at their own benefit that they are going to get, and they can justify that. Hey, I'm working, I got to be paid, so we have to run the company in a manner that we make a profit this year. Next year I'm not going to be here, so can I make some money now? That is ethical egoism. That's ethical egoism. So again, as I said, ethics here is like giving us that spirit in connection with governance on how a company is directed and controlled. So when a company is utilitarianism, what is happening is that they are going to be adopting the enlightened strategy by Archibald Carroll, where they realize that no, the responsibility of the organization is economical, okay, it's legal, all right, then it's also going to be philanthropic. Not only just a group of people benefiting, but a company that is run using ethical egoism, we don't care. They will come from the Milton's concept to say that, hey, a company's goal is to make profit for the shareholders. Any other thing else is a secondary matter. I hope you are seeing the connection here. And like I tell you all the time, when you are learning, you have to connect the dots and familiarize the things. That's how you remember what you are learning. Because what you are reading here is not like they are on their own. So you see the way I'm connecting them with governance, social responsibility, and then the Archibald Carroll pyramid of corporate social responsibility, because these thoughts guides whether a company will go with Archibald Carroll's pyramid of corporate social responsibility, or they will run the company using the agenda by Milton Friedman. I hope you are getting what's going on here. Then we come to the second one, which is ethics based on duty, deontology. This approach is based on duty. It's on the view that certain moral obligations are self-evident and need no further justification. What does that mean? It simply means that always do what is right. Do what is right because it is the right thing to do, irrespective of the consequences. Do what is right. So we are a mining company, and it happens that our practices are affecting the environment negatively. Okay, if we are a company that is a proactive company, we have to curb it, not to wait for somebody else to come and tell us, pressure groups to come and tell us before. We have to be proactive and say, no, our operation is damaging the environment, so let's put in place measures to deal with it. So you do what is right, regardless of the consequences. Do not do the wrong thing because it is always wrong. Wrong is wrong. You can't justify and say, if you have any problem, go and question your government because your government gave me license. If they knew that the license will cause our operation to destroy the water body, why did they give us the license? If you have any problem, go and pick a beef with your rulers. We don't run a company like that. So ethics based on deontology is, hey, the right thing must be done in all cases. Under this, there are two concepts there. Relativism. It refers to the view that a variety of acceptable ethical beliefs and practices exist. So, because what is right is relative. Why do I say that? And this is where a thought comes in, which I will probably share with you here, as some of the global issues facing management. I think if you remember, we shared a little thought about this. This one, global issues facing management. Okay? What are the global issues facing management? The last one here is gifts. There are certain cultures. If you go, like you go to Japan, part of China, and especially in most of the Asia and Middle East areas, when you are going to visit somebody in place of authority, you don't go empty-handed. You go bearing gift. And that gift is not bribe. That gift is not grease money. It's cultural. So there, it's relative, is the right thing. But our country here, if somebody should go visit the president or any state minister or whatever the heck, and goes there with a gift, they will say, hey, which contract is the man getting? That is a concept of relativism. You get the idea? So in one culture, it's acceptable to visit elderly people, people in places of authority with gifts. In another culture, you ain't going to do that because it may be seen as bribery or grease money. Now, you know the difference between bribery and grease money? Bribery is making payment for something that you don't qualify for. That's a bribe. Grease money is making payment so that you will make the administrative process faster for what you qualify for. Now, so this is the ethical dilemma. Let's say our company, AML, they are seeking to expand. And the Volta region operation thing, as we were told, is in an exploration stage. Right? It's at the exploration stage. But we are told that they are projecting commercial production of lithium in that particular site. Okay. What if they are approached by a certain government official that require them to pay something? Otherwise, that project will not see the light of day. Should they make the payment or they shouldn't make the payment? That is ethical dilemma. And that is how ethics could be, if you want, woven, if I can use that word lightly, into the question. So they want to expand. But here they are, a government official has approached them. If you don't pay for A, B, and C, you are not going to be proceeding with the project. We will put hindrances. So although the company has received a license, they can proceed with it. They are putting in place some impediment. Should the company pay for it? How should they deal with that ethical dilemma? That is in your hand. Because that kind of thing is extortion. You are being threatened that if you don't make the payment, that project will not see a light of day. Now, we have sunk money into the project. Should we pay the official or don't pay so that the lithium production, which we are relying on to expand our lithium production, AML, as a company, and ensure that we reduce our reliance on gold as a majority source of our revenue, let it go. Should we pay the money or not pay? That is the ethical dilemma. So as a consultant, how should a company deal with such an issue? These are part of the ethical problems facing management. So extortion. For bribery, it's illegal. So any company that engages in bribery activity is unethical, it's against the law, it is illegal, it is not acceptable. Bribery is illegal. Grease money. You qualify, you are entitled to it, but hey, Charlie, paid, nobody is going. Do you pay the money or you allow the system to go naturally? Then certainly the concept of gift. All right, the concept of gift. So, for example, let's say that an officer comes to AML and say, hey, that Volta region exploration phase project will not see the light of day if you don't pay A and B. Then Nana Ajiman Akosa, our CEO, our board chairman, and our executive chairperson goes to visit the president. Please, it's an example, okay? Don't blow this out of proportion. Goes to visit the president. You don't go and visit the president and walk out like that now. You don't respect. Or go and visit the minister of, the minister of what? Minerals and natural resources, whatever the heck. You won't go to such places and shake hand and walk away. Charlie, what's up? What's up? So if you go and pay something, if Nana Ajima Akosa goes pay something, is that a right thing to do? Or maybe a board member is suggesting that. And so ethics can be woven into each aspect of this discussion in this case study. Either the entity's project, the Volta region project issue, or any other decision about the risk management report, which is yet to be released by the consultant, which we may see in the additional information in the example. So maybe some of the strategies to adopt to deal with the risks, there could be some ethical issues around that. How do we deal with it? It's going to be a generic question that will require your level of intellect of ethical issues to be able to provide a candid answer to the question. I just want you to understand how it could be woven to all aspects of the discussion. It could be in governance, it could be in risk management, it could be in decisions that the entity is saying is taking generally. But those ethical issues are important. And that is the concept that we must understand in respect of the relativism. That, hey, there's a wide variety of what is acceptable and appropriate in a given circumstance. Then we have the absolutism, which says that, hey, there is an unchanging set of ethical principles that will apply in all situations. Murder is murder everywhere. Okay? Stealing is stealing everywhere. You cannot steal and say, oh, I was hungry, that is why I stole. Debbie. You can't say, oh, I robbed because I was hungry. No. That is absolutism. Okay? Absolutism. And so those are the things we must understand when we talk about ethics based on consequences and then ethics based on duty. Okay? So the examiner could also ask us these specifically to write on. But he can also weave it into the context of our questions as I have illustrated to you, and also weave it into the corporate social responsibility discussion as I have discussed with you, and how it will guide them on whether they will go with Milton Friedman or they will go with Professor Achibi Carroll's pyramid of corporate social responsibility. And so ethics, very important there that we need to understand. Then certainly corporate social responsibility we've discussed the various things that you must understand when it comes to corporate social responsibility. It's also part of this area that you need to be mindful of in that particular case. Then issues based on those models, we've already spoken about them, SWOT analysis, and those other issues in that case. Then the SAF principle, acceptability, suitability, acceptability, feasibility. So that first aspect of our question, 20 marks area, coming in the exam hall, is what we mean by strategic analysis. So that 20 marks area, these are some of the things we can see. Again, nobody cares about your analysis of the precinct. It is about what is in the syllabus. So we don't know. As you go tomorrow, that 20 marks area on strategic analysis, it could be anything. But we know there is definitely going to be at least one of the models there. It could be anything. It could be pistol. It could be Porter's 5 forces. It could be diamond. It could be balance scorecard. It could be whatever, mission, vision, whatever the heck. It could be corporate social responsibility. It could be ethics, a mixture of them. The goal is, don't look at what you can see in the precinct. Because as I told you, there is going to be an additional information in the exam hall that if you are not careful, that additional information will override over 70% of the conclusions you had reached on the precinct analysis, making your precinct analysis literally useless. And this is the beauty of case study, because the examiner has an array of questions he can ask you, and he chooses what he wants to do with you in the exam hall. So that is why I'm still just trying to let you understand. Understand what is going on in AML in respect of strategic analysis, and we've gone through the key issues. But my goal also is to let you understand, highlight those key areas under strategic analysis that the examiner will ask you a question on, or may ask you a question on, in the exam hall. That is what you need to understand in that particular case. AML does not have a mission statement in the case. Can you propose one? No, we wouldn't be asked to write a mission statement of a company. A company of this size would have a mission statement. If anything, what the examiner will ask us is, what should be the element of a mission statement of a company? Or maybe the entities, because they are now going into large-scale commercial lithium production, they are thinking about redrafting the mission statement of the company. Discuss the 4 things that they must take into consideration in structuring the mission statement of the company. Sounds good? This is coming from Felix. That's what you must understand. So we will not be asked to write a mission statement for the company. What the examiner may ask you is, what are the elements? Okay? And you remember we discussed this in session 1. Unless you don't remember, let me take you back, if I can. This is what I'm talking about. So the mission statement describes the basic purpose and what the organization is trying to achieve. 4 things the mission statement tells us: purpose, value, strategy, policies, and standard of behavior. So you will not be asked to prepare a mission statement for the company, but we could be asked to give the guidelines on what the things that the entity must consider in crafting an effective mission statement. And that's a common question that the examiner asks, I think, 2 times or 3 times in the previous syllabus. So that's the idea about the mission statement issue in that particular case. Any other questions on strategic analysis? So that's the first part for our 20 marks area, strategic analysis. Now, in respect to our company AML, we've discussed the various things that has to be discussed. We've prepared the various models. I've given you guidelines on the various things that you must understand. Again, don't die on the mountain of the pre-scene analysis. Stay alive on the mountain of what is in the syllabus. That is your sure bet of passing the case study examination. And that's very important to me. The second aspect of our syllabus is strategic choice. That is 15% of the syllabus. Strategic choice. Strategic choice. This is a fundamental area because among other things here, we are looking at the various strategic choices available to the entity. And so, discussing issues like the McKinsey 7S framework, we discussed this. Okay, various issues in respect of performance measurements and KPIs that can be used. And we discussed some of these things when we're talking about the balance scorecard during the pre-scene discussion. Preparation of a business plan. Because as we mentioned, for instance, for AML, the Volta region thing that they are now trying to, expand into, to go into commercial production, they may need money. And that money may require them to prepare a business plan to attract investors or go for a loan or do some new issues of shares. Okay, so if we are going to be preparing a business plan, what are the elements of the business plan? Again, we've discussed these things and showed you the draft of the business plan and what you have to take into consideration. It's a 10 marks question the examiner can ask you to prepare the business plan for the entity. Because whatever strategy we adopt, that strategy requires funding. That strategy must be implemented. To be able to get the funding and implement the strategy, we will require a business plan. And Nuntina, under that strategic choice, the business plan preparation is going to be very important in that regard. Not only that, risk issues. Remember, we discussed risks under governance because, some of the areas are connected. So we discussed it under governance, but it's also available here under the strategy because whatever strategy you are seeking to implement, okay, there are risks that is going to be applying. Now, if you remember, we said under the strategic choice, there are a number of things that we are looking at here, like the unsolved growth matrix. So if we are seeking to expand and grow our market, then we can do market penetration strategy, market development strategy, product development strategy, and diversification. All of these have their own risks. And so the company must be able to understand the risk appetite of the management and the shareholders and identify the various risks that the entity is going to be exposed to by pursuing any of these strategies, and most importantly, the mitigating factors that must be put in place, or the strategies that must be put in place to mitigate or eliminate those risks. And so if you remember, we said under the risk management issue, there are a lot of things there we must understand. The ISO 31000 risk management framework, the TARA risk management framework, right? We spoke about the Cadbury, the 10 ball, right? And all those issues about risk management. It's part of this area. Then the BCG matrix. Like the company is having more than one business unit, right? So which business unit should they pursue? Which of them should they not pursue at the end of the day, right? So cash cow, problem child, star, and dog. We prepared this BCG matrix. And then certainly the generic or porter strategies that we must understand. And so when it comes to that strategy implementation area, yes, the McKinsey model is important. Issues in respect of business plan, risk management, pretty important there in that particular case, because that is very important for us to understand that. And then certainly some ICT issues here, which you are expected to know already. I mean, technology, information systems, those things, various new ITs that can be used, the technological factors under the PISTOL framework, all those things, cyber security, big data. Those of you in corporate reporting, we did some IT issues. Those same things are applicable here. That is our second area of discussion, strategic choice. So in that 15 marks area, these are the areas the examiner is going to be dancing from. Risk, strategies that we can adopt in terms of these models, dealing with the business plan, dealing with some IT issues. That is what we must understand. Now, once we adopt the strategy, it has to be implemented. And so we go to the third phase, which is strategy into action. You can see that is 25% of the syllabus, because this is where the examiner enjoys and going to have a lot of fun with you. And I'm saying that politely in that regard. So strategy into action or strategy implementation. There's a lot that is going to be going on here. If you remember, in the strategy implementation, we are going to be dealing with a lot of things. Okay, you saw us bringing a balanced scorecard here, and then McKinsey framework also coming up here. Because if you remember, we said when we are implementing the strategy, change is going to be happening. So how do we manage the change? So the various change management model, Roosevelt, Lewin's change management, McKinsey 7S, and then the Gemini 4R. Because when we are implementing the strategy, we have to be mindful of change that will come. Because you see, strategy into action actually has three things that you have to be mindful of. Three things. Again, this is in the introduction aspect. Or if you have my book on page 5, strategy into action looks at three things. There are three aspects of strategy into action, which is organizing or structuring. This means putting in place and delegating authority. Then enabling, which means that, empowering the entity to be able to then utilize resources. Then you manage change. So that 25 marks area is going to be coming thematically from these three areas. Thematically from these three areas. So what are some of the issues that we have to be mindful of there? Again, concept of globalization, international strategies, management orientation in that regard, very important. The Ansoff growth matrix, pretty important here, right? That we need to understand. The Boston Consulting Group matrix and all of those other models under strategy into action that we spoke about. The Ashford portfolio display, the Shell directional policy matrix, the GE and the McKinsey directional policy matrix. All those models could come here. Oh, Nhyira. So in the case of AML, how do all of these things apply? If you know the model, you can apply it if the examiner asks you. That's what you need to understand. If you know the model, you can apply it if you are asked. Then certainly we spoke about corporate parenting, because if you remember, this company has a head office and then it has various divisions headed by the various divisional heads. And so corporate parenting issues could be something that the examiner may be excited about in this area as well. The various corporate parenting style. Okay, financial control, strategic planning, strategic control. We must understand all of those things. The concept of the strategic clock and all of those things will come under this strategy into action. So change management issues, dealing with issues in respect of those various models under the strategy into action, enabling and things are very crucial here. And again, if you remember, we have discussed already how most of these models, not all of them, because we didn't do anything on the McKinsey and GE model. We didn't do anything on directional policy metrics like contextualizing it to AML, but it's something you must understand, as it is in this huge 25 marks area that the examiner can ask you about, that you need to know about. Then we come to the fourth area, which is the financial objective. Everything here usually comes from your financial management class. Everything here. And per your syllabus rating, this is around what, 15% or so? Oh, 20%, sorry. 20%. 20%. Pretty important here. The financial objectives. As I said, everything here, you've done them in financial management, you've done them in corporate reporting, you've done them in management accounting in level 2, everything here. Right? Because tell me what the heck you have not done here. Available sources of finance to the company, short-term, long-term, medium-term, raising capital, dividend policy, issue of new capital. All these things, you know them, and we discussed some of them during the pre-scene discussion or the main pre-scene discussion in that particular case. So what is the working capital management policy of the entity? We can discuss that based on the ratios we calculate, the liquidity ratios, the trade receivable days, the trade payable days. These three together can give us an idea about the working capital management policy of the entity. Okay, now we have received information about the Volta region project. We've received the inflows and the cost that we are going to be incurring. Do an MPV schedule or a payback period on the initial cost or the accounting rate of return. You are supposed to know that from financial management. And I started telling you this from session 1. What are the various sources of finance in the short term, in the medium term, and then in the long term? All of those things, you have to be aware of them. Preparation of cash budget, which could be embedded in the business plan, but we could be asked to prepare the cash budget on its own, financial plan for the company on its own. So this 20% area are things you know already, that the examiner will want to pick your knowledge about in this particular case. The question is, do you know all these? Do you remember all of them? Last semester, I think the question was on hedging, right? Currency hedging. And people were like, oh, what is this? What is this? Really? You didn't do for hedging, financial management? Oh, I came in with an MBA. Who asked you to come in with an MBA? You are supposed to know it because treasury management is here. And our company, AML Limited, is exposed to foreign exchange risk. Because they buy things in foreign currency. Most of the chemicals they use are not produced here in Ghana. So they buy the chemicals, the equipment. Just recently that some of them probably could be assembled here in Ghana though, but they buy it from outside country. Then they sell in foreign currency. So they are exposed to foreign exchange risks. How do we manage that? All these things are here. So you got to know them. And we discussed some of them during the pre-scene discussion. Just want to make sure that you crystallize on them again before you get excited tomorrow morning as you go into the exam hall at 9 a.m. But those are the issues under financial objective. Again, if you look at the pre-scene and try to predict things, you're going to be smoking weed. And it will blow out of your brain. Because nobody cares about what you are seeing in the pre-scene. It's about what is in the syllabus. And everything here, the examiner can contextualize it to the case and ask you a question about it. So you may not have the eye to see. Or what you have the eyes to see, the examiner will not be interested in asking you. So that is why I keep on telling you. What is in the syllabus? What must I know about? Do I know about it? So you stop reading your analysis and go back to your books. And go back to your manual. And go back to the videos. And understand the material than sitting down and trying to cram analysis. That will give you emotional torture in the exam hall tomorrow morning. But that is the fourth aspect in our discussion, right? So we spoke about some of the ratios because, for instance, in this question, we're giving the financial statements of the entity. And so we mentioned that, okay, probably the examiner could ask us to calculate the various ratios. And we did the calculation, confirmed, and had a discussion about the analysis as well. So the examiner could ask us to evaluate the performance of the company. You may go to the exam hall tomorrow and there is nothing about this financial statement here. The examiner doesn't owe you any explanation. So why, if the examiner will not ask any question, why was it included in the case study? Who the heck are you again? You're a student. Shut up and study. Nobody asks for your opinion. So, yes, calculate the ratios as we did. Yes, understand the analysis as we did. But don't die on this rock. Come back to the syllabus again and find out what's really this 20 marks area, what are here? How much of the things here? Because if the examiner is going to be bringing 20 marks question on these things, which one do I know? So that 20 marks, you there, I can get 12. Or 10 of the 20 marks. That's the issue there. That's the issue there. That's why, again, I am begging you, don't die on the rock of the pre-scene analysis. Nobody cares about you. Okay, so that's our fourth aspect, the financial objectives of the entity. Give me a sec. Of the entity that we need to be aware of and know about. And we had a connection and discussed some of the things contextualized to the question, calculated the ratios, and all of the things that we have to be mindful of. But beyond what we discussed, there are other things here which I told you about that you have to be familiar with. Yeah, we discussed some of the short-term sources of finance for the company in that particular case. Then we discussed the dividend policy. Right? I mean, we have not been told about the dividend policy of the company that we have here in the context of this particular question. So certainly there is nothing that we can really talk about here, but you must know the dividend policies. What are the factors that an entity must take into place when designing the dividend policy of the company? You must know. And you did it in financial management. It's not my job to teach you that again. But we discussed this during our pre-scene discussion. We mentioned some of the things that you need to understand. Methods of raising capital. So if our company wants to raise money, what do? They already listed on various stock exchange. And so they can do some right issues or issue some new shares or go for a bank loan or bring in a venture capital firm. But we must understand the risks associated, the advantages and disadvantages of these various sources of finance. That is your job as a consultant. All right? So this 20 marks area, these are the options available to the examiner. This is what is in your syllabus. My question to you is this: how much of this do you have at your fingertips to conquer this 20 marks area tomorrow morning? Not what have you done in the pre-scene. Yeah, we know you might have calculated some ratios, which we've all done, we discussed the ratios. Beyond that, what again? There could be a lot of issues. Like I said, the Volta Region project, that is at the exploratory phase. You may go to the exam hall and they have given us information about the Volta Region project. It is speculated that in the next 5 years, X amount of cash flows will come. These are the costs we are going to be incurring. These are the equipment we are going to have. Do an MPV project on that Volta exploration project, because the company wants to decide whether they still want to pursue it or not, or look at some other area. Although it is a lithium thing that is a new market, we still have to look at whether that particular project is worth it. Because if we are not going to be getting the revenue in a large quantity that will offset the cost we will incur on the Volta exploration project, then it is not worth to go after that project. That is investment appraisal. You could say that in the unseen information, and the examiner could hit you in the head on that. Do you know it? Can you prepare it? That's your question to answer, not mine. So beyond the financial smellings you are able to smell in the pre-scene, you got to find out what is in the syllabus. How much of these do I understand? Very important. Very important. So that's the D aspect of our discussion there. Then we come to the next one, which is corporate governance. Yeah. Governance is key when it comes to strategic management, right? And so that's the E aspect, governance. And that's 20% in our syllabus as well that we need to know about governance. Very huge area, and you know the heck, a lot of things are available here. The various corporate governance theories that examiner could pick your brain on in the exam hall, so you must understand them. The OECD principles, Ghana's corporate governance code, corporate governance guidelines as enshrined in the Companies Act 2019, Act 992. Then what the various things there are talking about. And if you remember, we tried to have a contextualization to our company, discussing the leadership of the company. And so the examiner can ask us what are the governance issues, discuss the governance issues at AML, and suggest or make recommendations on what the company must do. And so that is like a holistic view of governance. And if you remember, I told you to watch a video under the summary video on corporate governance practice questions. I don't know, I think it is 20 minutes video or so under the summary video, where it's just a generic story, case study that we picked, which discussed almost everything you must understand about appointment, payment, board structure, non-executive directors, and everything. So in strategic case study under the summary videos in the mobile application, oh, it's not here. I want to see, yeah, corporate governance question. So if you check in the mobile application, you read from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one, corporate governance question. That particular video will help you to appreciate everything on corporate governance, at least the majority of the issues in corporate governance. It's a 27-minute video. So you can take some time to watch that video. It will help you. It will help you because this is a 20 marks area in the exam hall, right? So in as much as you must understand everything in corporate governance, that video, that 27-minute video will help you to appreciate majority of the things in governance which may reflect in the exam hall. Then you add that to the contextualization we did for AML about the fact that, the board seem not to be balanced, right? About the fact that we are not having independent non-executive directors on the board, about the fact that even the number of people on the board is problematic, then the reporting lines on the board is problematic, because if the Dr. Cynthia is supposed to report to the CEO, who is then reporting to the executive chairman, who the heck does that? That's not how a company is run. If you remember, we said this is the hierarchy. We have the shareholders on top, we have the board in the middle, and then we have the management team here. And so at the board level, they are going to be playing the oversight role, right? And then there must be committees of the board. Okay? And the various committees of the board and their roles, right? The risk management committee, the audit committee, nomination committee, any a remuneration committee. Their roles. Then the fact that, hey, majority of the board members must be non-executive directors. At least 1/3 of the non-executive directors must be independent non-executive directors. About the fact that when it comes to the board, it should have only the CEO or the CFO on the board. That's why we say the majority of them must be non-executive directors. Then there must be some level of diversity on the in terms of gender, skills, and expertise. Very important there. This is how the structure is. This is how the structure is. But if you look at our company here, and the structure, the organizational structure they have here, it's gonna be problematic. This is not a good structure for a company, because the structure is supposed to be this, and we must understand the board, the role of the CEO and the CFO, the concept of the board charter, right? Then we come to the management team. And so governance has a lot of issues. So what are the symptoms of poor corporate governance? That will be maybe specific to our question. So if the examiner should ask us, what are some symptoms of poor corporate governance? And that is the question that I mentioned earlier. What are the governance issue in AML, and what would you do, or what should the entity do to fix them? So that's where you will talk about the symptoms of poor corporate governance, as we discussed during the pre-scene analysis discussion. Then you make various recommendations. That is why I'm recommending that, please, you can take some time. It's just a 27-minute video. You can listen to it, whilst doing something else. But it helps you to neutralize your brain, again, to help you to understand or appreciate on the large scale of things the issue about corporate governance. Okay? It helps you to understand the issue about corporate governance. So those are the issues that we need to understand as well, that the examiner is going to be getting excited about. 20% on governance. Where would the examiner come from? I don't know. But there are a lot of materials that we need to be mindful of here about the corporate governance issues. And so if you come to the syllabus, all right, as I mentioned earlier, the board structure, right? Non-executive directors, executive directors, okay? Various governance concepts that we discussed, if you remember: fairness, reputation, accountability, probity or integrity, all of those governance concepts, right? Those things. Then, in respect of the governance provisions in the corporate, in the Companies Act 2019, Act 992, must understand these things pretty well. OECD principles, okay? the role of accountants in corporate governance, and some of the various other issues that we must understand. So again, when it comes to governance in this 20 marks area, don't just look at what is happening in the pre-scene for our company. Look at what is in the syllabus and the various things that you must understand about corporate governance. Now, if you remember in our discussion, when I was teaching governance, we netted corporate governance with 3 different things. If you remember, with corporate social responsibility, with risks management, and also with what? Ethics, which I also shared a little thought on a moment ago in the beginning of the discussion in that particular case. So these are the things that we must understand as we go into the exam hall. Under each of the segments of the syllabus, what are the options available to the examiner? If you just look at the pre-scene, your view will be limited. So look at the syllabus. Then your view can be expanded, and that can help you to better appreciate and go into the exam hall, not with any fixed agenda, but with what is in the syllabus. And that will increase your chances of ultimately passing the examination. So under the governance, the agency theory, remember we discussed that very, very important concept. Okay, the material on governance that we discussed, very, very important. Those issues we discussed, right? The conflict, where does the conflict comes up from? Moral hazard, right? And the various issues that we spoke about, and how the agency or conflict issues are dealt with. All those issues are in governance that we need to know about. Then the concept of the stakeholder theory, pretty important at the end of the day, which is connected sometimes with the stakeholder mapping by Mendeley. And so this is our syllabus. These are the things that we have to be mindful of. And my goal tonight is not to, again, come and go over the things we've already done about the analysis of AML. We've already done that. We've gone through all that. My goal tonight is just to crystallize the idea to you again that nobody cares about your analysis of the pre-scene. It is about what is in the syllabus. So if you know, and I've shown you this since beginning of the discussion, coming to the end of our revision during the pre-scene analysis, I've told you this over and over again. So if you have been a good student, you don't have a problem. Strategic analysis, you know the options. Strategic choice, you know what is going to be there. Strategy into action, you know what is going to be there. Financial objectives, you know what is going to be there. Corporate governance, you know what is going to be there. Do not limit your thinking to the pre-scene analysis. Because, as I said, there will be additional information in the exam hall. That additional information could override maybe over 70% of the conclusion you had reached based on the analysis that you did. That means you have to now think on your feet. Because, Charlie, Bibia futu France. So you have to now think on your feet. And so if you don't now understand the context of the subject, that is the syllable structure, that is where you start, scratching your hair, chewing your pen, or people shout, or they just close the book and then they walk out. So that's what you must understand in that particular case. Then, as I said, in order to increase your chances of passing the examination, you want to plan your work pretty well in that regard. So when you get to the exam hall, and this is very important for me, you create an answer plan. And I've taught you this. So when you get to the exam hall, 15 minutes reading time, just hold your thoughts, because you cannot write anything. So you read through all the questions. Then you go to the additional information to try to read them to see. So in addition to that 15-minute reading time, I said add about 20 minutes more. Make it 35 minutes. And what you are doing is reading the additional information, doing the analysis to find out if there was a conclusion that you had reached earlier about a company that can no longer stand now in your write-up. Then you read the questions one after the other thoroughly. Take your time. Don't just read question 1 now and flip the book. Question 1. Then you start writing. There be. Prepare an answer plan. Maybe the first page of your answer booklet and the second page of your answer booklet, you just write answer plan. So as you read the question 1A, what is it talking about? Okay, whatever it's talking about, the answer is there. Come to your answer booklet, question 1A. Write the points down. Don't write them on your question paper that you will take home. Nobody will follow you to your house. Question 1B, you remember the thing. Okay, go. Question 2, that's your answer plan. And as I told you, the reason you are doing this is because you just entered the exam hall. Thoughts are fresh. So you're likely to produce some answers. And so you write them down in the answer plan. When you finish going through all of the questions, that once you remember you've written all of them down in your answer plan, then you can go to a new page and then look into the answer plan. Okay, which of these ones can I really express myself on? Because you have to start with what you can do best first, as always. Right? You need to start with what you can do best first, which is the next point. Start with the most confident, answers first. The one that you can answer best first, you start with that. So you are using 35 minutes for planning. As I said, there is going to be a mental battle going on in your head. Because whilst you are planning, Obi di nioma biegu. Obi jiri nioma biegu. Somebody is writing gidi 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 gidi. Gidi 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 gidi. Gidi 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 gidi. So if you're not careful, you'll be like, oh, I'm wasting time. No. Do the answer plan. Do it. Now, the reason you are doing the answer plan is that now you've written all your points down. So when you now start to write, guess what? The points are already in the answer plan. So when you come to the main answer script, what are you doing? You're just explaining them. So the person who started, now in the middle, they are now trying to remember something. Because they read the first question or the second question or they started. Now they have gone to question 5, then they are now trying to remember the things. But it's not coming. You are in comfortable lead. You just did right. You just did right. And nuntina, I am saying, have an answer plan. 35 minutes. Oh, Nhyira, 35 minutes is plenty of the time. It will help you. And I told you something also that probably if you are not able to answer all, like write all of them out, they are in the answer plan. They are in the answer booklet. Now, when you finish, you're supposed to cross it out. Even if you don't cross it out, once you've written on it answer plan, the examiner knows that that is part of your planning. And so, if they finish, they could come there. If there was a question you had written the points in your answer plan that you didn't get time or you didn't get to the point to explain them, you could get some marks for it. As per best practice and professional presentation, you will get some marks for it. Now, if you wrote the answers on your question paper, nobody will follow you to your house to come and mark the point. Hey, Rade, look at me. This thing has paid me power. See, I wrote the answer down on my question paper. Ow. Don't expose yourself to those things. Apply wisdom. Don't write the answer on the question paper. Put it in the answer booklet and the answer plan. If you are not able to explain it, it is in the answer booklet. They will look at it and you will get some marks for it. That's the strategy. This whole exam passing is not about vibes and inshallah, it's about strategy. So the person who read question 1 no washa say chro nsem bi, because on him say when ya baby chro, you have taken 35 minutes, 20 minutes inclusive of the 15 minutes reading time to plan your work. Now when you begin the write, you're just pouring. You're just pouring. You're just pouring. You're just pouring. But remember, as you are pouring, you control your emotions in the exam hall, right? So you got to be careful. We've discussed this over and over again, that you want to make sure that you are not getting too much excited. Don't write more than you are expected to write. Don't write less than you're expected to write. So there has to be a balance. All right? How do you know? We've addressed some of these things during our assignment discussions and performance evaluation test discussion. So those of you who have been doing that, you know. So control your emotions. Don't get too much excited. All right? Then the most important thing is to review your work in the final 15 minutes. So planning. Starting with what you can do best first, controlling your emotions, knowing how much you are supposed to write, and reviewing your work, very important. Because this is a written paper. Yeah, there could be calculation issues, like the ratios calculation, investment appraisal calculation, or whatever the heck calculation that the examiner will want to bring. Yeah, there could be some 10 marks calculation or 9 marks calculation there. But majority of the things you're going to do here will be written. And you know already, right, when we are discussing your script, the things you people were writing. You now, when we are reviewing the script, you realize that, did I really write this? Yeah, sister, that's what you wrote. And that one, you were not under any pressure. It was assignment. Some of you were even having fun whilst writing that assignment for me. Now you are under exam hall. So please, review your work. Oh, Nhyira, this is the time that Apo is coming. Allow me to write. Allow me to write. Again, you want to quickly take a tour of what you have written and find out. Because maybe there is supposed to be an article there, and or maybe there is a word you are not bringing, or you are spelling something wrong, and it could change a whole explanation that you are writing. And we've gone through this over and over again, and you know yourselves. You know you're not good in English. It's not an insult, right? I'm not insulting you, but you know that you're not good. So you want to review what you have done. It's very important. If you can do this, focus on understanding the syllabus, not your analysis. I write this in strategic case study because I always forget and write on my question paper. The answers, so you don't prepare a study, but it's not about maybe I would try. This thing is not about trying, Candy. I'm not asking you to try it. I'm asking you to do it. It's not like I said try it. Do it. That's what you need. That's what I'm asking you to do, not try. This is not try or lucky. I may be so. Yes.
Isha, you know when they say like you should read over the questions, when you are reading, you are writing because you can't write in the answer book. So when you are reading, you are trying to like
No,
bring out
even
some of the
even
points
that
identified.
15 minutes reading time, you're not supposed to write anywhere. It's what you
Oh,
are
me, I
what
write.
you're not supposed to do that. It's illegal. You could be punished for that. Because that 15 minutes
God
reading
is with me.
time, you're not supposed to write anything. So you have to hold the thoughts.
Hey,
Then 15 minutes, but you can't hold the thoughts. You've held the thought
Isha,
for
I'm
12
always
weeks.
writing. No, when I'm reading, I'm trying to write on my question paper. So when they say start work, then I use that one to try and write. So the study plan doesn't come.
You have to. So you have to add 15 minutes to 20 minutes to the 15-minute reading time to prepare the study plan. And that's a strategy that will help in the exam or generally to help you to pass the examination in that particular case. What else do I have here? I don't know. I think I'm seeing another chat here. Let me see. Ameho, Nhyira Premium. Yep. Who the heck? Matthew. Keep the great job, bro. Thank you. What else do I have? Can't bring this comment up. Okay, so that is the idea about that, and these are the things that I want to just highlight for you in that case. So please, as I said, go watch that 27-minute governance question video. It will help you to appreciate the things on governance. Okay, then spend the rest of the time, certainly review the things we've done, the analysis of the pre-scene, do that. You have been doing that. But beyond that, I want you to also look at the remaining things in the syllabus that you may not know. So you go and look at them. But if there is anything that I'll leave you with, it is this particular thing here. Preparing the answer plan, starting with what you can do best first, controlling your emotions, and then reviewing your work when you are done. As I said, if you can do this, by the grace of God, you should be able to pass the examination. That's it. Any other questions for me? I'm going to be wrapping up around here today for this one. Any other questions for me? Maybe you saw something that you want to pick my brain on, or whatever the heck. Nhyira, which remaining things? I don't know. I don't understand your question. No. When you say remaining things, what do you mean?
You say we should go and look for the remaining things that we do not know. And I'm asking which of them?
But you know already that the other things that we spoke about that I showed you in the syllabus, which probably you've not reviewed yet or you've not revised again yet.
Hey,
Go and revise them.
Revision. First, me.
Until quite some now in there.
Never you already.
Oh dear, me nkope baba bindi. So that's the idea there, and I'm gonna wrap up here today. And as I said, yes, do the analysis, but nobody cares about your analysis. We care about what is in the syllabus, and the questions are going to be beautiful questions. For those of you who have written some papers already, you saw the quality of the questions, the structure of the questions. Okay, the way the questions are being said, because the ICA examination has reached that level where only the best can pass, and any lazy person, you're going to fail the exam woefully. It's not an insult, but that is the reality. So gone are the days where you can just sit down, do some shabo work, and go to the ICA exam and write it and pass. Now, there's a level of intellect required to be able to pass the examination. So go in there, work hard, do what you must do, and we wish you all the best. Before tomorrow 9 a.m., if there is anything you want to ask me about, you can send a message about that or that, and you'll be assisted. But please make sure you go watch the 27-minute summary video that I spoke about, the governance video that I spoke about. It's just 27 minutes. I'm not saying watch it and be taking notes. You're just watching. It will help you to remember the various governance issues, about the diversity of the board, the responsibilities of the board, the way appointment is done, role of non-executive directors, and the overall things about governance. It will give you some ideas that will help you for that 20 marks area you will be facing tomorrow. So please review that video. That's one specific thing I will really impress on you to review, and that will be the issue in that particular case. Okay, so we wish you all the best, and we pray for you that you'll be able to excel and pass the examination in that regard. I had serious issue. Could you please explain Potter's diamond, especially in relation to AML? We spoke about Potter's diamond generally earlier in our discussion in that particular case. Potter's diamond could come in if we are comparing the mining industry of Ghana with another country, or just analyzing the nature of Ghana's competitive advantage using the Potter's diamond. Favorable factor conditions, which is the factors of production. We are looking at labor. We are talking about infrastructure, the road network, and all of those things in that particular case. Then you are looking at availability of related and supporting industries. So what industries does the mining sector need? We spoke about the excavators, the tractors, the chemicals for whatever. Is it purification or refining of the raw ore into the bullion gold, and then the carbonate dioxide for the battery? Okay, then the technological firms, the IT companies that they need, the software companies that they need. All these are related and supporting activities. Then we talk about the the nature of domestic demand conditions. So what is the nature of domestic demand? In the case of AML, there is nothing like that, because how much gold do we even use here in this country? How many gold manufacturing, how many jewelry companies do we even have in Ghana? So local demand for gold, and then lithium. Which company in Ghana is using lithium to manufacture what? So for AML, domestic demand, it's not there. Maybe the only domestic demand that will be there will be probably the Bank of Ghana buying some of the gold, certainly for storage, and then also the government of Ghana Bank of Ghana buying the gold for that, useless policy that they launched some time ago, gold for oil, whatever the heck, that we didn't see whatever that thing solve in this country. So those policies, domestic, but mining lithium and gold bullion, domestic demand, it's not there. It's not there, right? Because everything is rather exported in that particular case. Then certainly competitive rivalry, strategy, and structure of the individual companies in that particular case. So that is the concept of the Potter's diamond in that regard. So factor conditions, the factors of production, skilled labor, machines that they need, the road network, infrastructure, and all those things. Then the other points in that particular case. So that is what you must understand about the Potter's diamond if you want to contextualize it in the case of AML. Okay. All right, so that's it about that. As I said, before tomorrow morning, remember the exam is 9 a.m. 9 a.m. You've been writing all your papers 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Oh, da, no pa, ndra, 9 a.m. now. Then you not going right there. They not going right there. So remember, it's 9 a.m. Make sure you wake up early, and then you go write the examination. So all the best, and we'll see you some other time. Au revoir.